Hi, welcome to Grimm's Bookshelf. This is the first video I'm ever doing like this. This is kind of awkward for me. I've never really done anything like this. Anything I've ever done, it's always been like gaming or like Dungeons and Dragons related. But I have found in this last year a new love for reading, especially reading horror books. So I'm just anything I read, I just kind of want to read and put out into the ether, into the internet. Whoever the fuck watches these, but like it's probably people who have read the book and want to go see somebody else's opinion on it, which I will give on this. But I don't know what to say. There's a lot of rambling. I don't know what I'm doing. So if this sucks, I'm sorry. But here we are. So what I want to talk about today is two books. There's kind of coincide as a 1 and 2 called A Lonely Broadcast. These guys right here. They're written by Kel Byron. And it was kind of like my introductory to, like, in my adult life of reading horror books. I had read some stuff when I was young, like, like I had read The Shining, and I was like, oh, this is cool, but I didn't really get it. But now as an adult, which I haven't reread it, I should. But so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and read a little excerpt about this in case you haven't read it. And you should. These books are fantastic. They're really short, and they're really just absolute page turners. But this little excerpt here. Evelyn McKinnon returns to her mountainous hometown of Pine Haven after a brief stay in a rehabilitation center, having secured a new job as a radio DJ. However, she quickly learns that her new place of employment is at the center of supernatural conspiracy. Alongside her new coworker, Daniel Esperanza, Evelyn is tasked with guarding the border between the living and the dead, protecting the townsfolk from the amalgamated horrors and monstrous abominations that creep out of the forest when the fog rolls in. Her worst enemy, however, is the madness that haunts her sober mind when memories come flooding back. So I had read that little blurb about this book, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I kind of dug a little deeper about it. Turns out this book was a story put on Reddit and the r/no sleep subreddit, which is all like horror related. People posted short stories. Apparently got so much traction there that it pretty much got commissioned to be a book, novel, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to go over it a little bit. Mainly the first book, because the first book was really drew you in. And I can't really talk about the second book without spoiling the fuck out of the first one, really. Excuse me. So the setting, okay. This book takes place in Pine Haven, like it says, and it takes place in this old Firewatch tower. And the setting is so fucking cool because it's this old rickety, sways in the wind and just surrounded by trees, right? And I think it is probably one of the best environments I've read in a book in like the last year or so. It's very it feels very isolated, and it does a really good job at making it feel so separate from everything else. Like the only thing they know is this fucking tower and these haunted woods that surround them. If you are a fan of like Cronenberg, like The Fly, and stuff like that, you're really gonna like this. I'm trying not to give too much of it away, but like it said, like amalgamated horrors and monstrous whatever. I will have like a spoiler section of this, but right now we're gonna just kind of go over it. That's not spoilery. The character design or the monster design is so fucking cool. I guess that's all going to be in like the spoiler section. Just know that it's definitely one of the more original designs, plural, that I've ever seen, and it's so fucking creepy. Like, anecdote not related to this book, I spent a long time as a Boy Scout, right? And I spent a lot of time in woods and stuff like that. And I've spent a lot of time around like wildlife and people. And so like it explains like when they go into the woods and how like enveloping it feels and how like almost like crushing it is. It's if you've ever been in those kind of situations, you know what that's like. This book captures that very well. So we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about the characters a little bit. The two main ones. Obviously, the first one we talked about is Evelyn McKinnon. She is a really, for such a short story and short books, she's a very complex character. I think she's complex. I think she's cool. She's like, yeah, generally like pretty moody 20 something that has like parental issues. And, you know, but she is legitimately one of the most badass female written characters that I've read in a long time. And it talks about like her coming from rehabilitation. There's a lot of that in this book where she comes from like sober living and like going through the pitfalls of now being sober, not having like these crutches to lean on. And it's a pretty harrowing tale. Aside from like the big like overarching plot, the subplot of that is so good. And she definitely is like I said, the most so like tough and just so like down to do whatever. The other main character, Dan Esperanza, I believe is how that's pronounced. Lovable goofball trope. Love the man. Also redeemable badass. He is a liability, but he's my liability. You know what I mean? Like he's my boy. We love him. I'm sure most people feel the same way. And I think overall in the whole story, without spoiling what the end is and how it all unfolds, I think the best thing I can say is like it is a really original creature feature. And when I read it, I'm usually not one for like fandoms and merch and blah blah. After I read it, I was like, I wonder if this guy likes stuff, like, you know. And I Googled it. I'm like, oh, so there's like a whole fandom that's revolved around it. There's like a weird little community involved in it. So that's your thing. Definitely look into it. It was fantastic. Loved the read. The two books. I think there's rumored to be a third. I don't really know. I haven't looked. I maybe should have looked into that before doing this, but it's kind of a spur of the moment type of thing. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the spoilery sections. So I'm just going to talk freely about it. And I don't know how long, but so if you don't want to know, go get the book. I'll put the Amazon links to the physical copies of the book and to the Kindle version as well. Go check it out. It's so sick. So this is your final warning. Okay. When I say this, that the creature design is so sick, dude, like I'm gonna address, like, if you don't know, there is a whole plot in this book that they are trying to find her old friend Jennifer, and she like hears her and she talks to her and she like hear her through the pipes and shit, and eventually go and find her. And the way it describes like finding her friend, absolutely folded and stuffed into a fucking tree, is so scary. Like, could you imagine? Like, oh, your best friend goes missing, and you're like, oh, let's go find her, and you just, dude. And they talk about like all the weird and fucked up animals that belong to this forest and are just consumed by this thing and spat back out. It's like all these, like, you know, animals, 2 heads and 6 eyes and 2 mouths and parts of things that shouldn't belong. There is a third, well, maybe fourth. Let's call it a fourth character. That is a bird named Bartholomew, who has three eyes that just fucking tortures these kids this whole time. And it's so good. It's so fucking good. Like, and there's a whole subplot about like her dad being a park ranger in this place, and then he went missing. No one really knows. You know. And like, oh, the bird's got his eyes. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know this like I'm trying to think of the right words. Like, it is short, but it is so impactful in these two books. Like, you could read both these books in a day. Like, some people, you know, that are like that. I cannot. I can't read that fast. But, you know, people who read, you could probably zip through them in a day. It's such a nice read. It's very well written. It's very tasteful. I have one, maybe two gripes about it. First gripe is the two main characters, Dan and Evelyn. There's so much, I think there's so much tension between the two, and there's not a whole lot said about it. I feel like I would love them being together as like love interests. I would like that. I think that's how it would be if they do a third book. The natural progression of it. That's how it would be. I mean, he like takes her to his family's like Christmas and Thanksgiving, like introduces her, and they're like, "Oh, is this your girlfriend?" "No, mom, no, we're just friends." Like, "Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, okay, pal. She's just a friend, right? Just a roommate." "Oh, yeah, okay, buddy." But that's one gripe I have, and it's never really resolved. And it's not talked about a whole lot, and I wish it was. But I mean, if you want to, like, maybe the author just wants to leave the ambiguity, and that's fine. But like me, if you're writing it for me, as you should be, damn it, I want to know. My other gripe is these kids. Obviously, the book isn't set in fucking reality. Like, I know that. You don't have to tell me that. I read the thing. You maybe haven't. I don't like that these things happen to them and they get so fucking injured. But they just come back. Just to like, we gotta save it. We gotta save this town. Like, no. All right. At some point, the main character, Evelyn, gets a fucking eye taken from her. And it becomes part of this giant fucking amalgamate thing. Nah. No. I leave. Goodbye. I'm not sticking around. If I live through that, no. Dan actually gets this fucking like head crushed in. He just comes back. He's like, "Oh, it's fine." No, you don't come back from that. You don't. I promise you don't come back from that. Aside from that, like random little nitpicky bullshit, whatever. I with like high praise for these, like for what it is. It's fun. It's really nice, and I can't really talk about it anymore without just talking in circles. It's just fucking. It's a fucking awesome read. So if you haven't, go ahead and look it up. Get it on Kindle. If you're a Kindle reader, get it physically. I think Kindle is probably. I think the prices on the Kindle is fucking cheap. Like, it's one of those like $3 books or something like that. It's so worth your time. If I continue to do this, great. If you guys want and you have like suggestions for books, I love horror books. I love sci-fi books. I love sci-fi horror books. I'm so down to branch out too. Like, if there's books that if somebody wants to like, hey, you should read this, and it's not as like super in my vein, I'll read it. I don't care. I will just be more prone for those horror books and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and if you want, just like and subscribe, help me out. I appreciate it. If you like if you like this. I don't know if I like this. This is weird, but it's nice. It's not as awkward now that I started talking. I've literally like I'm talking to a webcam and a monitor and like a script I typed out. It's very strange, but these books are great. Please pick them up. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.